What's up, everyone? This is El Destroyer 229, and welcome back to Let's Play Persona 5 Royal. Last time, we began our trek through the exam room. A series of questions that basically determine whether or not a person is in need of some, let's just say, assistance from Dr. Maruki. We managed to get 2 for 2 right now, although they're not exactly questions that we would necessarily agree with. But we are at least doing a good job at finding what Dr. Maruki would pick. In this episode, we have one final question to get through. So let's go ahead and see where this final question leads us. Right, may as well see what exactly we're getting into. Now, of course, we already know what would be behind those doors, so we're not even gonna bother checking that. So let's go ahead and see what the question is. Huh? What?
No, no, no.
So this one is rather interesting. You have the power of the Phantom Thieves. What would you do with it? Okay. Well, D is definitely what the Phantom Thieves actually do. But this isn't about what the Phantom Thieves would actually do. This is about what Maruki thinks that this power should be used for. Well, before we do any of that, we can get up here. We can grapple our way up this way. There's a bunch of places for us to jump off and jump across. That was totally by accident. And there's a vent here that we can go through. Which takes us to another examination room. Now, there's only so many people that we can look at, but we could, in fact, take a listen to what's going on in here.
Then...
Come on, man.
I mean, yeah, it is important to know whenever you are the cause of any sort of problem. However, that does, in fact, prove definitively that you are in pain and thus need to have something corrected. So, yeah, it should come to no surprise that that is not the correct answer. We can go across this way. Unfortunately, this room is locked.
See it.
And we can go in through here, where there's an enemy.
I'll reveal your true form.
Watch out! That one's dangerous!
It's time.
I know that this is one that we've already seen before, but it's also been quite some time since we got into any fights.
Ravage them!
Knocked them right off their feet!
So I think we would probably be better suited to just try to, you know, do something about this.
You're mine.
Knocked them right off their feet! Nice, Joker!
And at least show this one off because there were like 0 fights last time.
Fireworks! Don't move! Ah, so pretty! So much damage! There's that core!
Okay, not quite to the end.
Victory is ours!
Although this does signify the end. Go ahead and give us an item. I don't care.
That's decent.
I don't usually use those, but whatever, I'll take it.
Everyone did great! Good work, everyone!
Oh man, I just realized we never actually saw Mona's new sword! We just saw a little glimpse of it right there. Yep, it had been a while, even though we hadn't gotten to any fights. But it looks like we can look into another question.
Hey.
I mean, it seems pretty obvious. If you're robbing someone else's happiness to grant your own, in the end, everyone just suffers. In this particular instance, it's not just the one that she loves is being manipulated. It's also the woman that he is currently with. She is deprived of her own happiness in this situation. So, yeah. Just like what we saw with the more inflamed comment, simply causing other people to become unhappy, even if it gives you some sort of fulfillment or anything like that, is absolutely not what Maruki would desire that anyone do. So we've at the very least been able to rule out two options. We're able to rule out C and E. Simply taking your own heart admits that you are currently unhappy. And while it is nice to go out and try to better yourself, obviously it means that you are currently not happy. And E robs someone else of their happiness. You are forcing basically someone to go and give you their unconditional love if you go and steal their hearts for that purpose. But that also doesn't take into consideration the people around them. What if they already have a significant other or someone that loves them? What if they're with someone else? By simply having them fall for you, you are robbing those other people, or even other person, of their own happiness. So, because you are basically stealing other people's happiness and causing them to be unhappy, that is why E is not the correct option. So we are left with A, B, and D. Let's just go in this order. We'll see what B comprises of.
Yes.
So you're saying that you're happy right now? So that's a very noble response. Someone who is already content with what he has and doesn't want to risk the happiness of himself or the people around him. Honestly, that doesn't sound too far off from what we think about Maruki. It's very risk-adverse. It's just being safe. Just doing well with what you are currently doing. But we do have two other options we need to consider. So let's talk to this woman here, which looks to be for D. Yeah, that's about right.
So that means...
Wait, what? I thought there was a third person. Is there really not? I guess not. Huh. I thought for sure that there was a third one. Well, I guess D is pretty self-explanatory since D is literally just do what the Phantom Thieves do. So I guess that makes sense. I honestly thought there was a third person for that, but oh well. Well, let's go ahead and discuss it with
Shall we
everyone.
begin? Okay.
So we've got 4 different options here. So, like I said, D is just the Phantom Thieves. So we'll go over in order. So let's go over what that confident-looking woman went over. The one that wanted to run the boutique. To be honest, Violet, we all have those questions.
What are your thoughts?
So that is something to consider. You couldn't get caught with it. There isn't any risk in stealing anything. So, to steal an item, to make your own dreams come true, I mean, I guess it sort of depends on what sort of thing you're stealing, to be honest. But let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about what the one man that had a family said.
What are your thoughts?
So that one's also rather interesting. On the surface, it does seem like it would be the perfect answer. Dude's happy with his family, he doesn't want to risk it. Just everything about it seems like it would work, but, like Skull mentioned, he said that it was good enough. So while there are some things that are risk adverse, and while he's content, he may not necessarily be happy, even though he may think he's happy. Being content and being happy are two very different things, even though they do share a lot of similarities. So on the surface, that might be it, but why don't we go over the other ones? How about the woman that looked pretty depressed?
Well,
So yeah, that one is really obvious. We saw how
What are
the
your
results of that is, and yes, it is important that you recognize your own faults, your own shortcomings. But when you're taking an exam to see if you are well enough, yeah, saying that you are not well is obviously not going to go over well. Well, we have one last person to talk about, and that was the woman that looked heartbroken.
indeed.
So yeah, very obvious. That one's also a wrong answer, and forcibly changing someone else to just fit your own personal goals, your own personal happiness,
What are your
denies that other person their happiness and denies the happiness of the people immediately around them for very selfish purposes. So that one very clearly is also not what we're after.
thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Well, let's see if we can't try to pick an answer.
Well...
Yes, you're right. Yep. What are your thoughts?
So that is everything that we
Right.
need. So, this question is rather interesting. Up to this point, it's been very much what has been the most risk adverse. But the inherent nature of the question eliminates that possibility. What would you do if you had no possibility of being caught? Risk has nothing to do with this. No matter what you pick, you will not be caught. So what do? We've already gone over how C and E are both options that are out. C, while it's not a bad thing to recognize your own faults, in this context, you're totally going to get something done to you if you say something's wrong with you. E denies just the people around you. And even if you are doing things for selfless reasons, nothing is saying that the option of never getting caught won't cause those same morals to buckle. The same thing with A for a lot more obvious reasons. We saw someone who would try to steal to fulfill her own dreams. And you could try to only steal things that wouldn't impact others. But the question, though, is do you keep the moral high ground? And very few people probably would if there was zero chance of ever getting caught. If you could get away with stealing anything in the world and not face any repercussions, there are very few people who would be able to resist that temptation. So ultimately, we have two options. We have B and we have D. B eliminates the possibility of doing anything rotten with this power. If you are not going to get caught, B at the very least ensures that nothing different happens. You are content, you have everything that you want, and you don't risk anything bad happening. But here's the thing. Nothing bad could happen. You're in a situation where nothing can catch you. You can do whatever you want. And when it comes to D, yeah, you are using your powers. You are using the powers to change people against their will. But what D does is that D is specifically about changing the hearts of criminals. Is it vigilantism? Absolutely. But you are changing society for the better. You are making so many more people happy. B ensures the status quo, but D expands that happiness to everyone. Or at the very least, to so many more people who are under a bunch of just tyranny, who are under oppression, who are suffering at the hands of others. D changes those evildoers to be good and greatly benefits their victims, since they are no longer under that sort of oppression, sadness, pain. So yes, while it was just the go-to answer this time around, Skull's right. The answer that Maruki would go with is D. Maruki 100% supports the Phantom Thieves.
What do you want to do?
And it is, in his opinion, the best option one can take.
Wait!
So we get healed, and our final reward is a bead chain.
Yes! Joker! A treasure chest! Let's open it!
So that is rather interesting. The fact that Maruki 100% supports the Phantom Thieves and what exactly they were doing, and yet, all this is still going on. To be honest, he did know that we were part of the Phantom Thieves, and it was due to the Phantom Thieves that he was also able to complete his research. So I guess it makes sense that he would feel indebted to the Phantom Thieves. And when it comes to this sort of question, they do carry the moral high ground. Or should I say, we carry the moral high ground. We, through the unanimous vote that the Phantom Thieves employ, only target the hearts of criminals and those who are deserving. Those who need to have their hearts changed. If there is any doubt, then we do not act. That is how the Phantom Thieves operate. And since it is for the betterment of everyone, and Maruki is essentially taking what the Phantom Thieves are doing and putting it to a whole nother level, it does make sense that that is ultimately what he sees as the best option. Since it's essentially the Phantom Thieves, but on steroids. Anyway, Chess has a Rasetin Ofuda.
For real?
Well, since everything seems to be good, let's head on in.
Right.
What?
Wait, hold on.
So that sucks. We did all that and we still can't progress onward. However, not all hope is lost. We can go in through here. This gets us to a bit of a back area. So we can still progress onward.
Whoa! I see.
But
Okay, well, it's rather interesting. Though, there does seem to be a way to progress onward that way. There are a few other places we can go to. For one, there's a safe room right here.
this feeling.
And we
I
also
think
have
there's
a
a
way
safe
to get
room
to the
around here.
exam room this way. First off, I'm gonna hit the safe room real quick. And then we'll head out.
We don't know what may be waiting for us. Let us explore carefully.
So, yeah, there's a dude here, but we can't exactly interact with him. But we head back to the exam room. We can see that we're in a slightly different area. So, we can just kind of progress over this way. And we can see that this would be the results of where we would go if we picked any of the other options. Now, Now, there's no shadows waiting for us in any of these, so we can just kind of open the door and just kind of have it marked. And that won't really change anything. So if we picked any of the wrong answers for the last question, we would just end up in that counseling room regardless. We just managed to pick everything right and got, well, directed towards the other option. So this one over here takes us to this option,
I have something.
which I think was E. And then there's also this that's stealable. So everything over on the other side over there is from where the vent is, and we can't access it from over here. But any of that option would just bring us over to this counseling room. Now, we've been at this for quite some time. And there's still a little bit up ahead. I'm not entirely sure what exactly is there. But we do have another memory room, and this one's just kind of out in the open. Although, there is something that I want to do, and I'm pretty sure up ahead it seems pretty obvious what's going to be up there. So we'll go over the next memory of Maruki next time. But I would like to take the opportunity to go over one of the final history lessons. There are still 2 more history lessons that we need to go over. And like I mentioned before going over Vanadis, these 2 aren't really explicitly stated as to what exactly they are until it gets to a point where it's beyond where we would do any sort of history lessons. Now, thankfully, this one isn't really too long, so I'll just take a few minutes to go over the first of our 2 beings. To avoid spoilers, I won't give what context either of these 2 entities are. Just know that they will pop up at some point prior to the end of the game. So in no particular order, we are going to go over the first of these 2 last entities. Our history lesson today will be on the Lovecraftian god, Azathoth. Part of the Lovecraftian mythos, Azathoth is the ruler of the Outer Gods. He has several titles, including nuclear chaos, though nuclear in this instance is more cellular nuclear, not atomic nuclear. But he's also referred to as the Daemon Sultan, as well as the not-so-kind title of the Blind Idiot God. Said to be a symbol of primordial chaos, Azathoth remains in a perpetual dream, where all of reality takes place in. Should he stir from his slumber, reality itself changes, just simply because of Azathoth stirring in his sleep. He is not really well described within any of Lovecraft's stories, but he is described as such in his first introduction within the short story, The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. And I will give you a quote from that introduction. Outside the ordered universe is that amorphous blight of nethermost confusion, which blasphemies and bubbles at the center of all infinity. The boundless Daemon Sultan, Azathoth, whose name no lips dare speak aloud, and who gnaws hungrily in inconceivable, unlighted chambers beyond time and space, amidst the muffled, maddening beating of vile drums and the thin, monotonous whine of accursed flutes. That is Azathoth. Now, while not part of any official work, Lovecraft did create a sort of genealogy that connects to Azathoth. Azathoth is said to have had 3 children. A son named Nyarlathotep. Let me say that again, because that is actually important. A son named Nyarlathotep. His name is really hard to say. Nyarlathotep. As well as 2 other offsprings. The Nameless Mist and Darkness. Now, he also has 2 grandchildren. Yog Sothoth and Shub Nigorath, who together had the twins Nug and Yeb. Now, for those of you who know Persona, one of those beings sounds very intriguing, especially given the context we are in. Nyarlathotep is essentially the main antagonist within Persona 1 and both Persona 2 games, Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment. Now, despite the fact that Nyarlathotep is very important to Persona, it actually doesn't have any specific connection to him. Azathoth within Persona 5 doesn't really have any connection to Nyarlathotep in Persona canon. Nyarli, I'm just gonna call him Nyarli in Persona context because that's easier to say. Nyarli is the main antagonist within Persona 1 and both Persona 2 games, and is considered basically the rival to Philemon. Philemon being the master of Igor. And Philemon does still show up, though not in any official capacity, within Persona to this very day. His symbol within Persona is a blue butterfly. So, anytime that you see a blue butterfly, it is a symbol of Philemon. Persona 3 didn't really have it much, except with just the basic introduction and maybe the outro, if I'm remembering right. Persona 4, it's very obvious. The blue butterflies are your main save points. But in Persona 5, the blue butterfly also exists whenever Lavenza was speaking, even though she was split apart. So it could be said that the reason Lavenza was able to reach out to Joker was through the power of Philemon. Now, when it comes to Nyarli, Nyarli is a whole bunch of different things. And yeah, that involves going into basically the entire plotline of Persona 1 and 2, which isn't important for this history lesson. But it is just an important side note given Persona in general. So, that concludes our history lesson. I told you it's a short one. There's not really any specific tales that involve Azathoth, unfortunately. I mean, he is just kind of a primordial being within Lovecraftian fiction. So, yeah, it's not like he's a dedicated character. However, that is something that's going to be important for later. I'm sure there are some people who haven't played Royal and are just wondering what the hell that could be. We shall see in due time. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and call it a day right here. So, next time on Let's Play Persona 5 Royal. We still have quite a bit to get through in order to get through the counseling room. There's a number of chambers that lie up ahead, so we'll see what all is over that way, and hopefully we'll be able to find a way to get through this stupid barrier. There should be some sort of way of progressing onward, but we only have one way to go. So that one way, we shall go. Until next time, everyone, take care.